With its 250 rivers and a stretch of 2,400 kilometers of bank line, Bangladesh has a unique geography that makes it vulnerable to all kinds of disasters. Cyclones, floods, landslides, and now a slower disaster, river erosion that is already causing widespread destruction in coastal areas. For years, Bangladesh disaster policies focused on saving lives. Thousands of dollars were spent in improving early warning systems and preparedness programs. The Bangladesh Red Cross and the Bangladesh government built a vast program of cyclone shelters and prepared communities to respond to cyclones and floods through regular drills and simulation exercises. But for people who are first to suffer every year from disasters, these life-saving policies are not enough anymore.
We get a lot of support every after disaster. The government and international agencies provide us with relief goods. But this do not change our living conditions. We don't want relief alone. We want help to know how we can save our assets and properties. We want to earn money to improve our living conditions. We want to know how we can better protect ourselves.
People want to be better protected before disaster happens. They want to save their assets. This is a concern that is now understood by the government and international organizations working on disaster management.
Before, we dedicate our efforts in relief activities. It helps save a lot of lives. But today we are focusing on disaster risk reduction activities to reduce loss of lives and properties.
One of the initiatives that we're putting in place here is that we're trying not to talk in terms of disaster risk. We're talking now in terms of development risk reduction, because that's putting it into the development agenda. And we're saying that if you undertake these risk assessments, if you implement these risk reduction strategies, you will be reducing your risk to development and livelihoods and other factors.
"14 years ago, this community was located 4 kilometers away from here. Riverbank erosion took away most of their land. That's why they transferred their houses in this village. In 2007, another kilometer of land eroded. And we predict that by the end of this year, erosion will take away another half kilometer of land. And people will have to move their houses again."
More than 50 villages are affected by riverbank erosion in this part of Bangladesh, and thousands more are suffering from the same problem elsewhere.
People here can't move to safer areas because they have no money to buy land. So they lose everything, their land and livelihood.
This man is telling us that he already moved 8 times. Others managed to share a piece of land with another family or live on the road with their entire families for months. Many are forced to move to the nearest city to look for jobs. The Bangladesh government gives 5,000 taka or $70 to the people most affected by erosion, but the money is not enough for them to build a new house, so people have to find other solutions. Here the MMS NGO provides rescue boats so people can move their houses from one place to another. They also help them elevate the plinths of their houses to protect their livelihood against floods.
During the rainy season, floodwaters would reach here. Our community was completely inundated. With the elevation of our houses, water does not enter our homes. It allows us to maintain our gardens and grow vegetables. I sell my harvest in the market after a disaster, and I use the money to buy food for my family.
Protecting people's livelihood is the long-term solution that will better protect them from the effects of disasters. Here in Hatia, in the southern part of Bangladesh, people regularly face cyclones and heavy floods. As people cannot be relocated, they take refuge inland during the cyclone season. They come back to their land when the cyclone season is over. Sometimes the government provides them with a piece of land so they can start a new life. But most of the time, people have to find other solutions. Here, a group of women are trained by NGOs to cope with disaster.
Samatha is a Bangla word which means equality. This group is trying to cope with disaster together.
Many NGO programs are now investing in activities that generate income before the flood season, so that people are in a better position to survive after the floods.
After getting a small loan from Dibu Nashangsta, I bought a cow. Every day I milk the cow and I sell the milk in the market. It helps me earn extra income. The money helps me survive disasters.
Microcredit has not always been a success story. After a disaster, some people still have to pay loans even after they had lost everything. For some, things may not be that bad. The kind of loan and when it was taken matters a lot. Other programs, such as the community-based disaster management programs undertaken by the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, are also trying to better protect people and their assets against disasters. These initiatives are micro-projects, but this is exactly what people want. IFRC is empowering women and training them to participate in disaster management decisions.
We have meetings during flood season. They ask us what should be done. We give our opinions and they listen to us.
Despite training, cultural barriers make women more vulnerable to disasters.
We feel more vulnerable than men because we have children to take care of. They're very young and they do not know how to swim in the flood. We always have to look after them.
I just can't leave my house during a cyclone. I am very attached to my cattle, cows, hens, and ducks. I also have to make sure my children are safe. Men don't think the same way. They immediately run to the nearest cyclone shelter.
Women are more vulnerable to disasters. It is a fact. We asked Dilruba Haider from the Bangladesh Disaster Preparedness Center if she thinks that disaster managers are really integrating gender issues in disaster reduction policies.
I personally think that the answer is no. I think till date what has been happening, I would say over the last 10 years, was that a lot of talks have been going on, like this integration of women's issues and women's needs and women's priorities to be integrated into disaster risk reduction programs. And if you, my opinion is that it has been a lip service.
It will take some time before gender issues are fully integrated in disaster management policies in Bangladesh. But things are moving as more and more organizations, like the World Bank, are considering disaster risk reduction as a development issue.
World Bank has been working in this area for a long time, but I think recently there has been a lot of awareness how the disaster management needs to be integrated within the development part. So how do you integrate and mainstream disaster risk reduction part as part of the agenda? And that means it's not just a shorter term intervention from the bank, has to be in its medium and longer term agenda.
Disasters are not natural. Disasters are man-made. Disasters are failure of the development initiative by public authorities. The poor people have no other option but to live in vulnerable area only to earn a living. So what we have to do is to address the root cause of the problem, which is poverty. And through providing support for sustainable livelihood, people can come out of this poverty trap. So it will be a win-win situation. Win, the risk of the poorest of the poor to disaster will be reduced. Win, the poverty will be reduced and the Millennium Development Goal will be achieved.
Relief is of course still needed to save lives, but more and more people in Bangladesh, including the government, are convinced that there will be no sustainable development and livelihood if communities are not better protected against disasters. The women from these villages have understood it a long time ago. They want more support to be more resilient before and after disasters.
We are marginalized poor. Every disaster, I have to depend on others to survive. How many times will they provide me with only help and relief? I don't want only that. I want to survive with my dignity intact. So give me an opportunity to earn a living to make me more resilient to disasters.